I'm Alice with MuchMusic.com, and I'm here with Lights and her gorgeous new CD. She is the hot chick on the cover, except it's actually her album, which is very rare and very rock and roll. Congratulations, it's a big day.
It is, it feels great.
Yeah, and it's a day that sometimes seems like it's not going to come, but it's here. It's a relief now that the album's out.
Yeah, it feels really good. I mean, I think every artist wants their music to come out as soon as they finish making it. And that's obviously not the case. You don't always have full control over it, and I would have loved it to come out, in July. But actually, we managed to leak out one of the more exciting tracks. Well, everything's really exciting. Everything's really cool and different, and that's what this record's all about. Kind of taking everything to the next level and grittying up the almost perfect sound of the last record.
Well, I really want to talk to you about the gritty thing, because you've talked about that a lot, and I thought this year, the Foo Fighters came out with an album, City in Color, and they both they recorded to tape. And both bands talked about how they wanted to get the grittier sound, the rock and roll sound, and I thought about that with your album. I could hear more of the sounds, and you worked with Holy on this album.
Yes.
Did those two things kind of come together? Was that one of the reasons?
Well, initially, I knew that the sounds of the first record were essentially perfect. Everything was timed and in tune and in order, and it's very structured. And that started to become a lot of what I was hearing. Everything was so perfect. Everything on the radio sounds really perfect. And I think naturally your ear gets too used to those perfect tones, and it's not really real. And so I think that might have been what the Foo Fighters were trying to go back to. Whereas I'm kind of caught in the middle because I'm an electro artist.
Yeah.
So to try to go all the way raw, you're not really electro anymore. So we've kind of found a place to meet in the middle, and bringing into the picture was a collaboration that I really wouldn't have expected. But I knew I wanted to bring some grit and some heaviness after having been influenced by dubstep elements.
Yeah.
So I was talking to my manager. I said, I think I know what I need to do in this next record after having struggled for a while to find a place. I said, I like these heavy sounds and I want to meld them with my sound. And he suggested a collaboration because we had met at a UK festival that year and kind of clicked, and they were really cool.
I read that. I thought, what are the odds that you guys go to Europe and meet there?
I know, on the dance stage at Reading and Leeds Festival, and we're both Toronto-based musicians, so, and even when I met them, I would have been like, I'm making my whole record with them, wouldn't know, but it was suggested by my manager, who's been my manager for 10 years and really trusted, so I was like, all right, well, let's try this. And it turned out to be something really great, and the interesting thing was, in contrary to most electronic music, it was created very raw. We just sat there and jammed, and out of that first jam session came Siberia, Everybody Breaks a Glass, and the 9-minute instrumental at the end of the record, which was all live.
That was a great surprise, by the way.
All live, all invented as you're hearing it, which is totally uncommon for electro, I think, for a lot of electro anyway. So it has a different spirit to it, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And you worked with Shad on the album as well, who I believe is here with you today.
Yes.
Which is very cool. And when you worked with Holy Fuck, I thought, that makes sense, because I think I'd heard you talk about metal before, and you like that. But I never really heard you talk about hip-hop. Are you a hip-hop fan? Is it something new for you?
It's definitely something I love. I love hip-hop beats and the grooves and the cleverness in a lot of the lyrics, especially Shad's lyrics. He's really brilliant with lyrics. He doesn't feel the need to necessarily be vulgar in order to get his point across. He writes about really inspirational things too. And he's been kind of a mutual friend for a bunch of years now. I was actually introduced to him through Rob Dyer, who runs a charity called Skip Cancer, which I support, and I'm really proud of him. So I immediately thought I would love to have Shad on this record. I emailed Rob, and Rob kind of put us in touch, and Shad was all in, and he killed it.
I'm a big fan of Shad because as a hip-hop fan, as a woman, the two don't always go together, and it can be very hard listening to some artists, whereas Shad...
Women don't feel as treated well.
So I thought I was so happy that you worked with Shad, and I was so happy seeing you last year at Lilith Fair.
I loved that. That was such a cool moment.
I was surrounded by women who got up on their seats, and so I can't tell you how many people I've heard say, "I came here to see Lights. I came here to see Lights." And there was Mary J. Blige, there was Sarah McLachlan.
That was a huge
and I
festival.
thought that really speaks volumes.
That was amazing. That's amazing to hear.
Well, it was very cool that you played it. You did a great job. How did that change the way you tour in the future, the way you see the music business being surrounded by female artists? Because usually you tour with men and you work with men because there are more men in the music industry.
A lot more men in the industry. And it's one of the things that sometimes kind of frustrates me, because you'll go to a venue and it's shocking to see a female house person or front of house or backline, and it's that girl is killing it, and I want to see more of it, and I hope that there is more of it. It is a bit intimidating walking into a male-dominated industry and being like, I'm gonna be your equal. It's intimidating, but I think that it's changing, and I can see it changing, and I hope girls feel encouraged that you can come in just as good, if not better.
Yeah.
You know, than anyone.
Especially being a young female walking into the room and not being, no, I'm not.
You just gotta you just gotta have the confidence to know this is what you're good at, and you're gonna do it regardless of who's gonna tell you you can't do it. So Lilith is an awesome thing because there's so many women around you, and there are lots of women in the industry, but it's behind the scenes that I think that is lacking.
Yeah.
Producers, you know.
And you produce a lot of the album too.
I always have a big hand in the production because obviously I'm not just a songwriter. I have ideas for the way my music is supposed to sound, and I'm like, oh, but you need to work with people on it too, because if I just sat there at home, it would probably not sound as good.
Yeah.
I have all these ideas, but I wouldn't know how to make it sound good.
Yeah.
So Togs, who I've worked with for years, co-writing and co-producing, he's just brilliant. He's so versatile, and he's the best.
It turned out fantastically.
Thank you.
And it's been 2 years since your debut album, which isn't really a long time, but when you're someone in your early 20s, there's a lot of changes that happen in 2 years just with growth.
Yeah.
You have some new jewelry on today.
Yes.
So there have been a few changes.
Yes.
How much does that influence your writing and how you approach your album?
It definitely, wherever you are in your life, that's what you're going to write about. And this record, in contrast with the first one, is actually pretty different and ironically a lot happier, though this sounds a little darker than the old record, which sounds a little happier. But that came from a sadder, like more like, this is my issue, I need to work through it, I need to sing about it. But now it's you kind of work through a lot of stuff. You've been on tour for a long time, you're more confident, you are happy, maybe you can actually sing about love, because maybe you've actually experienced it. And the songs suddenly don't become about you anymore, they become about what's around you, and it's easier to delve into visuals poetically and just really go to another place when you're writing lyrics. And so I had a really fun time writing the lyrics on this record. There's even one that's called Where the Fence is Low, and it's about a dream. And so I kind of just go to that place, I close my eyes, and this recurring dream I had, which ironically stopped after I made the record. So I think the dream was about making the record, because it was kind of scary, but like it felt unsafe, but still felt sure. And it's kind of like Inception, because I dreamed about the record making and then wrote a song about the dream about the record making. So it's really weird, but it just had fun like that, you know? It really does affect what you're writing about. You gotta be honest, you can't write about things you're not experiencing.
Yeah.
I can't write about, well, I'm experiencing this shelf, so I can write about it.
Yeah, we could.
It'd be a pretty good
Put
song.
some stuff behind it. It'll sound good if you sing it. I feel like with your career too, that you've done a really good job of being patient about things, where you didn't just, okay, the first album did really well, let's get out there and let's release another one really quickly and let's do overexposure, and there's been a patience to it. Is that hard sometimes though, where you're just like, I just want to release all my music now, let's just leak it, let's just keep going, but you just want to be patient, you want to hone the craft?
Yeah, it's hard to be patient, but it's a lot thanks to my manager. And like I was saying, we've been working together for years, and he's always preaching patience to me, and I'm not a very patient person. But I know it's what's right, because you can't force creativity just based on numbers or based on like acceleration or anything like that. And one of the things that, one of our mantras kind of over the course of my career has been slow build. You know, and the kind of analogy is that a tree that grows up too fast gets too tall but doesn't have big enough roots and then falls over easily. Whereas if you spend some time rooting, and then your tree's going to be strong, it's going to last a lot longer. So, you know, doing the tour grind forever, building up a fan base that's really solid and really behind you, and not taking in all these tasks that's going to like give you fame. No, that's not what it's about. You make sure the music is there before you try to jet. You know.
Well, the album is amazing. I love that you've got the photos and the graphics on the inside.
Yeah, I had to like meld, because this is the first kind of album I've done with like really real photos in it. I don't usually have too many real photos, but I wanted to like I wanted to mix it, because usually it's kind of comic-y. So the inside is kind of the comic graphic novel version of the photos and the lyrics.
Very good. Well, very big day for you, exciting day. The album is amazing.
Thank you.
And excited to see you perform in a couple minutes.
Do it.
Thank you so much. It was great talking to you.